Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Cardinal Territory. Jim Hayes alongside Lance, Lynn, and Kyle Gibson. I sure hope everyone had a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Weather's a little rough here. It's been a little rough in Indiana. I know that. Lance, I know you have a compound where you keep the bad weather away. Um, it's all quiet in Cardinal Territory since the trade that sent Sonny Gray to the Red Sox, but there are some newsy items. Now, I call them newsy because they're little pieces of potential news, but not really news. But we're here to talk about it. So, one of the things is that Oli Marmol and the Cardinals are talking about a contract extension. Full disclosure, you guys are pro Oli. I'm pro Oli. But some people are questioning. You got a reset on your hands. You got a new president of baseball operations. Is this the right move for the Cardinals? Lance, then I'll start with you.
I think you're looking at a reset, right? And Himes had what 2 years with Ollie to talk over all of the the good and the bad and the ugly that could be going on or that needs to change. And they obviously see eye to eye on some areas that could be adjusted and this and that. So if you're going to do a reset and you already have someone in place that knows the direction you want to go, that you feel comfortable with the way that they go about their business, it's a no doubter. And I think Ollie's perfect for what they have going on and how they're trying to go about this off season. And hey, you want to rebuild, you want to give these kids a chance to show who they are, but you also need someone that has managerial experience, knows these guys, know what buttons to push, knows who can do what where. It's a great starting point to have that. And no real manager wants to come in to this anyways, to be honest with you. Ollie's already in the thick of it. He's already, dealt with all the storm of, I guess, everything that's happened so far with going into this rebuild. And none of that was his fault. It's either players not performing the way they were supposed to, and or just kind of organizational taking a different turn. And he's equipped for that turn because of his player development that he had when he was a minor league coach and running spring training and stuff like that. So he's equipped for this move in a way that I think most managers aren't.
What you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think um, it's easy. I think looking at the managerial position, you can look at it a few different ways, right? You have some guys that might have a little bit more free reign to do not roster construction, but line of construction, whether it's Bochy or kind of the guys that have that type of respect level, or just they handle the job different. So you have those guys, and then I think you have maybe some hybrids in the middle, but then you also have some guys who are a lot of culture driven moves, right? I think the only reason these conversations are probably happening is because Heim and Ollie are comfortable with each other and where they're at with how he can lead this organization. And they believe that he is the guy that still has the locker room trust and can build the culture that Heim and the Cardinals want it to be. That's to me, that's what it comes down to. Because if he's not that guy, then these talks wouldn't happen, and more than likely that move would have already been made. Because I think you want that guy in place for this last part of the reset. Because I don't think Cardinals fans deserve for it to be more than a couple year reset. I think the Cardinals have the funds and they have the ability to make this a quick turnaround, and I think they should. So I think it makes sense for Ollie to be extended if he's the guy that Heim is comfortable with to lead this through the rest of the situation and through the rest of these next couple of years.
I think the compelling part is Heim's been around for a while, so he got to know Ollie. So there's going to be no surprises with what he's getting with Ollie, and Ollie's certainly comfortable with Heim. It makes sense to me. But here's why I think Oli Marmol is a good manager. First of all, you can second guess moves here and there. To me, that's little pieces of the puzzle. I think he's gotten better, but the Cardinals have had some downs. We've had some ups and some downs under Oli. There's no question. He has never lost the clubhouse. I'm up in there firsthand. You guys know that, and I can tell the
Way deep, way
players
too
are.
deep.
What do you mean? Well, that means I go. I'm digging a little too deep when I'm
Yeah,
around.
you get
But that
a little comfy in there. You've been a little comfy.
never
Being
comfortable
beat
because
up
you
on the
never
couch.
know. you never know what they could whack you. So the thing is, like, you get a real sense of what's going on in the clubhouse. You know when there's a guy who's unhappy, disgruntled. You know when a manager might have kind of lost control of the clubhouse. The players still play for Ollie after all they went through. And there's some guys that had some bad seasons. There's some new mix of guys in there, the rotation of guys showing up from Memphis. Ollie was in control of the clubhouse and the guys played for him. I don't know if there's a better compliment for a manager than the team continuing to play for him. What do you think, Lance, in your mind at least, sets Ollie apart?
I think you're looking at a guy who's you've seen build his way all the way up. He played in the minor leagues. He coached from the very bottom. Was it extended spring training? Was his first managerial all the way through. Started as a first base coach, so he's hit every single like spot as a manager. Played a little bit in the minor leagues, as I mentioned, but so he's done it, seen it all. He knows each guy's what they're kind of going through because he's lived it a little bit, but he's also had to coach in different aspects too to learn how different players go about certain things. So he's well equipped to deal with each individual guy in the way that they kind of need to go about things, should go about things, and what he's expecting, and he's got the ability to communicate that to him. So as a manager, if you can communicate and they know you have your back, and they also need to know, Ollie's going to tell them the truth. Like, hey, you're not going to be happy with this, but this is how we're going to go this time. And you're more than welcome to come in here and to say your piece. And I mean, he's all for that. And that's what guys need because we're all grown men and we all want to be the best we can be. But he's also trying to put you in the best situation, but also realizes he's running an organization and he's not he doesn't own the team. He's sitting here put in charge of managing the team and the players, and he's doing the best he can to try to communicate those things. And guys know that.
Do you think, Kyle, it's easier for Ollie because he's young? I mean, he's one of the youngest managers, or was anyway, in Major League Baseball. He's got a good feel for how to reach the young players. Do you see that?
Um, I mean, I think that could be part of it. I think Ollie is a relational person. I think that is one of his strengths and one of his big personality traits that makes him a good manager. He understands, like Lance said, I think being authentic and telling the truth, players and people can see right through that if you're being the opposite. And he's good at having relationships and managing relationships between the youngest players and the veteran players. He's willing and able to have those conversations with veterans when they need to happen. And sometimes they can be tough conversations about whether it's playing hard, the mindset in situations when you're struggling, going about certain things. Those can be tough conversations to have with veterans, and he's willing to have them. So I think that's what kind of sets him apart relationally that makes a big difference. And we've talked about this before, before we got here to Cardinal Territory, is that he does a great job handling the media and being kind of the intermediary between the ownership and the team and the media. Uh, I know there's been instances where people have kind of questioned how he handles that in the media with players, but I think after seeing it firsthand, he always has the players back, especially when it's warranted. The only time I feel like he might not have is when, maybe there was a little bit of butting heads and maybe it wasn't as warranted. But he just does a great job of being the face of that franchise to the media and taking responsibility, being accountable for his mistakes while protecting his players. And I think that's one thing that players really appreciate.
He spends a lot of time at it. Behind the scenes, meets with rights holder media, right? Then he meets with the writers, and then he meets separately with the radio and TV people. I mean, he spends a good deal of his portion. I like that you got the Tyler O'Neill butting heads thing in there. That was a nice
Whoa, I
thing.
didn't bring up names. I
Wait,
didn't
Jim,
bring up names. You
Jim's,
did.
Jim's a namer.
You did.
Jim
See,
likes
here
to
you
name
go
names.
again. Now
It's
we,
such a
you know
game.
what? Now
Just
it's
so you
time
know.
for you to bring up a time where Ollie got into it with the media, and you have to name names. I mean, I didn't say
Okay,
names.
every day I go in there and I tape an interview, and he just berates me. I fight back a little bit, and it's all on tape. Now, luckily, that tape is destroyed immediately because we would both be fired if you could actually publicize the things that were said. Now, that said, I also think he's adorable. Wears the hat backwards, the sweatshirt, and everything, and kind of he does. And I'll say this because I love him. but he does kind of walk around like he's got groceries under each arm because
He's
he
got some
hits the gym a
suitcases
lot.
carrying a little. I texted him actually. There was a photo that came out around the All Star break when he and was announcing the All Stars, and he was in a cutoff hoodie with a tight fitting shirt. I kind of wonder if he'd been hitting the gym a little bit. He walks around carrying suitcases. But
He
to
definitely
and
lifts
all
weights.
joking aside, and all joking aside, I've also seen managers like Rob Thompson who's able to connect with every player, young, old, no matter where they are in their career. So I don't think it's just because he's young. I think he has the ability to connect with every player. One, because of his journey, like Lance said, but two, he cares about having relationships, and it's not just a job sitting in the manager's office to him.
I want to bring up a former teammate of yours, and again, it's newsy. Like we've on this show talked about Jordan Walker a lot, 23-year-old guy, huge upside, but had that first good year and then kind of regressed and kind of swing got away from him. Um, but he had an interview with Derek Gould where he was talking about his struggles last year, and basically he said that he was stuck and he felt sort of like a robot and he couldn't use his natural ability or his strength, that he was a statue with his swing. And I'm just wondering because he went down to the minors last year, did what he had to do, came back up and started hitting again. I'll start with Lance. Jordan Walker. It seems to me he's a young guy who got a lot fed to him early on in terms of changing his swing and everything. And he just had trouble sorting through it. But he's 23. And to me, he's a guy that you have to give another shot to.
Yeah, no, I mean he's too young and he's got too much upside not to give the shot to. The question that I think Kyle and I both are going to have is what are they doing to simplify things for him? I think the game got too quick for him with too many changes. There's a reason why he was in the big leagues the year before and was able to have the success he has. Now, when you go full overhaul of everything, what were we expecting? So when you go full overhaul as a hitter, next thing you know, the game gets quick. You get in between pitches and you feel stuck at the plate. And then next thing, and when you're thinking too much, you're a robot, and then you're just kind of free swinging or you're taking, and you get locked up. So they got to figure out how to make him. I think the main thing for me is, all right, what's our swing going to be? And then we're figuring out how to hit the ball hard, and then figuring out how to maybe we catch it out front a little bit forward instead of trying to lift it. He's big guy. He doesn't need to try to generate the big lift and stuff like that to hit home runs. He needs to drive the ball and catch the ball out front a little bit more to hit home runs. But doing so, he needs to be able to realize, hey, I'm a big hitter. I can hit fastballs to right center, and then if they catch a breaking ball out front, that's the ball I'm going to hit in the air and pull for a homer to left field. So, and that's kind of you see the Aaron Judge comp, right? Everyone's talking about him, body size, this and that. That's kind of what Aaron did. He figured out how to, hey, I'm going to make sure I can drive the ball to right center, and if I get anywhere else out front, I'm long enough and strong enough to where I can clip a breaking ball out in front of me. So they got to simplify it a little bit, and then the in between goes away. Also, when you do more homework, I think he needs to be more of a student of the game when it comes to the pitchers he's facing. Instead of, hey, here's my swing path. Where's my swing path on playing? Blah blah blah. It's what's the pitcher doing to me? How can I take barrel to ball and hit the ball hard as I can? I think if he does that, where it says, hey, here's the pitcher's stuff, here's the stuff I'm probably going to see, where I'm going to see it, and then how do I take my best swing to that instead of only worrying about his swing path? Because pitchers aren't trying to find his swing path. They're doing their thing and they're pitching the way that they think they can get him out. And if he's only worried about his swing path, then he's got no chance in hell to hit what they're throwing him.
Kyle, you're
Yeah, I
nodding.
mean,
So tell me what you're
I
thinking.
agree. Yeah, I agree. I think one, I think he's gotten to a spot, sounds like, where that interview, he's being pretty open and honest about what he was feeling. I've been in a situation in 2017 where that off season going into it, I overhauled my delivery a little bit, changed my arm path to try and stay healthy because I was having some arm soreness. And the beginning of the year was the worst 9 starts of my career. And I tried to walk around with this false confidence, making sure like, hey, everything's fine, it'll be okay. That doesn't work. That gets exposed at the big leagues pretty quick. So I say that because it seems like he's gotten to a point where, to me, those statements sound like I really wasn't confident in what I was doing. And that's why you lose that fluidity, you lose the flow of what you're doing. because you're trying to feel your way through it. So the fact that he's making those statements, I think, is a good sign because I think he's probably realizing that maybe he can, shift that mindset a little bit. But preparation is huge for confidence. I agree with Lance 100%. You have to be prepared if you want to be confident. Um, but I think it takes a little bit to figure out who you are in the big leagues for most players. And I think if he can figure out kind of the type of hitter he wants to be or maybe needs to be in his mind, that will help and stick to that and become that player the best you can. Um, but man, you can kind of tell in 24 and 25 there was some lack of confidence and trying to worry about. Once again, I've been there. You worry about getting sent down, and when you start worrying about getting sent down, you're not playing confident. And sometimes being sent down can be one of the best things. I was nearly asking to be sent down in 2017 because I just looked around and I felt like I was the reason we were losing every 5 days. So if he feels like he's in the situation where, man, I'm the guy that left five more guys on base today, well, he's going to be in this kind of lack of confidence, looking around, kind of wondering when the meeting with the manager's coming. So I think it's good that he's in this place. You got to find a way to be confident even when you're struggling because even Aaron Judge, when we do our homework on Aaron Judge and you see him swinging at pitches he doesn't normally swing at, probably going through a little funk, and you know that there's a little bit of hole there until he finds that confidence again. So Jordan's not the only good hitter that goes through this, and I think you give him time.
Yeah, he's only 23, and I hope they keep it simple with him. He went down last year, and he talked about working with the Double A hitting coach in Springfield. And he said moved his hands away from his body a little, and every movement that wasn't designed to move toward the baseball, right? Eliminate a lot, but everything has to be moving toward the baseball. And he hit 304 in July, and then the rest of the year kind of went back down, but it's in there. We've seen it, and hopefully they can unlock that again for Jordan Walker. Time for a quick break. You are watching Cardinal Territory.
I have a unique holiday gift idea. It is called Superpower because Kratz, they care about you. It's a very unique health platform. It's new and it finally gets you the answers that you need about what's really happening inside your body and what to do about it.
I got the answers. I'm on the journey of what to do about it. Why would I not want to give it to one of my loved ones in my life?
Give your loved ones something that actually lasts. That's right, Kratz. Better health and more time with you. If you go to superpower.com/gift, you get a free $49 premium gift box with your gifted membership. After you sign up, they'll ask you how you heard about them. Please mention FT to support the show. One simple lab test measures 100 plus biomarkers. We're talking hormones, vitamins, minerals, and so much more. You'll get a full health report and a personalized action plan built by clinicians, including nutrition, supplement, and lifestyle guidance. Get after it, FT fam.
Nice. Back with Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn. Final topic on Cardinal Territory. The thing that makes baseball great, in my opinion, outside of the games and everything, but like the hot stove, people, every little nugget that's dropped, even if it's speculation, people love that, right? They love to read about where this guy's going to end up. Can we get that guy? I think that's what makes baseball so great and being a fan so great because it's a lot to take in, and you're interested in your team and you want to see them make the move. So you guys have been through that as a player. You've been through waiting to see where you're going to end up, who you're going to sign with. My question to you, we'll go back to you, Lance, on this, is of all the stuff that's out there, in your experience, either knowing what a team is going to do or in your own personal experience, when you were looking for a landing spot or where you were going to be traded to, how much of what you hear, read, see on social media is accurate?
This time of year, it mostly is hearsay. Would be like, so. Let's say 20%. When you get closer to nothing, right? In my opinion, until the winter meetings right now, everything's just speculation. It's like here's our ideas. So these are 100% ideas of front offices right now. But the probability of them happening and lining up with trades and this and that are 20%. As the year goes on, it's 50-50. There's a lot of people that hear little nuggets that are 50% true, I would say, as the year goes on, and it's kind of fun to be a part of it. And I used, like when Kyle and I were going through free agency or trade deadlines, we'd always get texts and calls. Heck, some of the times we were texting and calling each other, like, "Is this true?" And you're like, "No, no way, not happening." And so it's kind of funny to see who says what, and then the more that we were involved in the game, the more we realized you can notice who was maybe the guy who or the area that was giving the most false information, and you just learn not to pay attention to it.
I don't blame the reporters, Kyle, because it's their job to put stuff out there that people are interested in. And some of it to me isn't wrong, but as I understand it, and I dig deep on this stuff, Lance knows that, right? If you work for a team, you're the assistant general manager, or even if you're working for the president of baseball ops, you have a bunch of guys you might be interested with each team. And so you read off the list just to see where they are. And all of a sudden it's like, this team is inquiring about that guy. Yeah, he's one of 10 guys they had on the list. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily blame the media unless something is reported as fact when it's probably easy to confirm that it's not fact by, the player or something like that. More than likely, anytime you're seeing information put out there as hearsay, as Lance is saying, which is a great way to put it, it's because they've heard somebody say it, right? Like they're not just making up this information. It doesn't do Ken Rosenthal any good to make up that the Cardinals might sign Zach Eflin, right? Like that doesn't do him any good. Now, if he gets a nugget from somebody that directs him in that, that's one thing. So I think it's interesting to read it because for the most part, like they're hearing it from someone that those things could be happening, and I think there's some instances where it's awesome, and then there's other instances, especially as it gets close to confirming things, that I know there were a few times that my agent would be, contacted about where I was signing, and I'd made my decision, and I said, "Hey, will you hold off on confirming this with anybody until I can at least call my family?" It was big around my retirement. He was not fielding phone calls because I wanted to tell the people that I wanted to tell that I was retiring before it gets out there. So that's probably the only thing that's kind of weird when you hear it on the radio that you're being traded to the Philadelphia Phillies, and then you start getting phone calls. You're like, "Oh, guess I'm getting traded to the Phillies."
So for the record, like I think St. Louis has a very good, responsible media group. They're not dying to break every single story. That's their job, but they're not going to make stuff up. Certainly the Rosenthals, the Passons, those guys, right? They're Morosi, they're responsible. I'm not even talking about those guys, Heyman. But Lance, there are times, and I'm sure you're aware of it, where agents might put out a little smoke screen about this or that to try to gain leverage either for their own player or leverage maybe against another player.
Oh yeah, you see this suitor just because they had the conversation, it's like they're in talks. I guess technically, if you've had the conversation, you're in talks with someone. So there's a fine line for a lot of different things. Baseball's a very much always worked in the gray areas of the world. But like St. Louis media, they couldn't even pick up that Kyle and I were doing a physical the same day together the year that we signed. It's like, man, you just don't have anybody hanging out at hospitals waiting for us to get our MRI machines. I was surprised by that.
Kyle, your experience was good with the St. Louis media, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say, for the most part, there was a couple of the on-field people that, we had an issue with every now and then just being a little bit comfy in the locker room. But other than that, it was pretty good. I mean,
Oh, a shot
you
at
guys were
Claves.
pretty.
I get it. A shot at Claves. I get it.
No, I mean, no, I think it was St. Louis to me is a bigger market than it probably gets credit for, and the Cardinals are the big deal in town. The Blues are big because of winning the cup and being a big hockey town too, but St. Louis is a baseball town, so I think that media covers the Cardinals well. They cover them fairly, and yeah, I think my experience was pretty good.
Well, gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the program. I thank you. We will see you this week with fresh new topics. I hope you're happy with the ones I brought to the table for today. But that's going to do it for this edition of Cardinal Territory. We'll see you next time, and hopefully that episode won't suck.